Go ahead, Jake. We'll call this committee of the whole meeting to order on December 9th, 2025 at 6 p.m. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Is there anybody like to speak under public participation this evening? Okay, for the record, there is no public participation. This evening, we'll start with item number 4, amendment to CMT Work Order number 11, Community Pavilion. Shane?
All right. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Ladies and gentlemen, I guess included in your packet for tonight was a request for an additional $5,000 to cover engineering for the community pavilion. We ended up going over on the design portion of that and feel like we don't have enough quite in reserve to cover what we need to do during construction. As is typical with a lot of projects, a lot of revisions along the way. The project ended up being quite a bit larger than what we had originally scoped. And then with some of the added features to the project, the metal building provider, the pavilion provider, came back and said that they weren't going to be able to design the footings, so we had to take over that scope of the project. So just asking here to kind of we still have money left on the project, but this is with kind of the understanding with seeing this through construction, there would be a shortfall. So we just kind of want to plan ahead and work towards that.
Questions for Shane? Mr. Bateman?
Not really a question, but as Sam can tell you, when we were sitting in the meeting, the location we picked in the lot, it's the footings and stuff to make it so it will survive storms. Just takes some extra engineering because of the where we're putting it at on the lot and just the makeup of that lot. That's where the extra money is, because it's not just a pavilion being set down now. It's got retaining walls and stuff like that in it.
Mr. Anderson?
The fact that the lot has been there for a long time, it hasn't been moved. I mean, you guys knew that up front, that this is going to be the location of it. Is it really the footings that's causing this additional charge, and why did we not know that up front when it was already known what was on the lot?
So I guess the way the project was originally scoped and what I put in the memo was originally the cost of the amphitheater was a much smaller structure. The original quote was like $37,000. To get the Parks Committee what they wanted, the project grew. That pavilion now was $119,000 just for the structure. So with that, the scale of everything went up. Our effort went up as part of that revision process. And then in addition to that, as part of the normal scope of services for the pavilion manufacturer, is they design the footings. With certain amenities that we added to the project, as far as there's raised concrete and there's an aesthetic wall, a block wall towards the rear. Once those were added, they kind of washed their hands and said, this is now kind of out of our purview. You need to hire your own structural engineer to do that. So CMT has those engineering capabilities, so the city didn't have to go out and hire that. We just kind of brought that under the scope of what we were already doing. It's just a matter of those kind of changes. Added hours to the project. Hours means additional cost. And we want to make sure we have enough hours and fee available to do the construction side of things now that the project's underway.
And we moved the location of it. So it was originally going to be up near the fitness court there. And then we asked that it be changed to go into that corner right there so that when you're looking at it, it kind of faces out this way. And when you get into that corner, there's grading issues that were not present near the fitness court. also. Although I do think we bought ourselves something by putting it on that corner, because all that should be underneath there is the helipad. There was nothing else underneath the ground there, so hopefully there will be savings to be had there when they get into the excavation of it.
Did we know this information when we accepted the bid from the supplier of the building?
Do we know what?
That we were gonna have to be paying extra for the design work of the footings?
I don't believe that this was brought up until he must have gone back to the manufacturer.
Right, right. That was midstream, mid-project. Once the Parks Committee settled in on what structure they wanted, we started designing around that. We started coordinating the details of that design with the supplier. That's when they came back and said, hey, we're not comfortable designing this. You're going to have to do that yourself.
Okay, Mr. Parrott and then Mr. Bateman.
I knew we had some changes. I'm just trying to recall, did we have any additional changes after we had voted on what we voted on?
There's been no design changes since your
Well,
vote.
not just design changes, locations and all that.
No, not since
Okay.
not since that vote.
And,
no.
and just
This
the
is all-
manufacturer.
This is all.
Talking about like a wall, retaining walls. And
There's an aesthetic wall that's towards the back of this, so that way you can obscure like
But we voted on
electric
that.
meter. Yeah.
But we didn't know when we voted on it that it was gonna cost all this extra money.
Well, it's just the 5,000.
Well, I understand that, but it's not something that we've already budgeted for. It's something we're already borrowing money for to start with. And I would think that in a planning process, that if it's gonna cost us more money, that would have been a conversation that we would have had, whether it's $5,000 or $10,000.
You're not wrong, but what I will say is every project that we've ever done, there's contingency built in for things like this. Things that you run into that you just don't anticipate.
But did we build a contingency into the cost of this, or is this just something that
So
we're adding on to it?
Contingency.
So there's construction contingency to handle change orders and that. This is just the engineering effort to get the project designed. So when we approach putting together our fee estimate for that, we understand that there's nuances to every project, changes that'll happen. There was enough rework that happened along the way that wasn't necessarily because we did something incorrect or needed to change something. It was to accommodate requests that we were getting from the city through the Parks Committee. Like working with the city, we just keep working on the project. It's not like we don't want to stop every time there's a change and say, oh, that'll be another $500. Oh, that'll be another $1,000. That's not the way CMT typically operates. Like, because we don't want to just have the appearance of nickel and diming every time there's a little change. It's difficult to scope out a project and say, okay, we're from start to finish, there's not going to be any change to how the project's actually going to get designed.
Mr. Bateman and then Ms. McClellan.
So going back well over a year ago, probably, we voted on a set amount of money for design. This is on top of that, because between the time we voted there and then we went out for grants and all that, that's when the Parks Committee increased everything. So this is, if we would have designed, or all met together and got all our changes, they would have came forward with a higher design fee, because once we got into it and once we got to seeing it, that's when we as the Parks Committee, it was gonna be so much smaller and stuff, it just wouldn't look right where it was at. So that's why the design changes were made after we had already voted on the fee to design it. And I guess if we had pictures of it, that like, we were looking at it from the audience view. So if you were sitting there, it would have just been a roof. So you would have looked straight through the pavilion and seen the houses in the background. So we all agreed we should have like a decorative wall behind it so that you could, if a band was playing there, they could store their equipment behind the wall so you're not seeing it all set around, those kind of things. So those are the kind of things we added. Then with Walt's help, we designed grading, so if you had a handicapped person that wanted to use the pavilion, we had to design sidewalk work and stuff to get, so there was a lot of things that changed along the way. I understand this is a little extra money, but, you know, it's not an exorbitant amount, and quite honestly, there was quite a few changes that were made after we voted on the design.
Ms. McClellan?
I was just curious if it would be possible to recoup some of that money that the building people are now not gonna pour footings. Is there a chance to recoup some of that money?
So that was, so built into the, I guess the short answer to that is the construction cost is to cover the final footings. As far as the metal building supplier is concerned, they charge a nominal like $500 fee to provide the design. That's in the cost already. We got midstream, they said, hey, because of the way we elected then to execute the project, we can't do this. So that was kind of baked into that nominal $500 fee that they had in there.
So we're not losing 5,000 to them. We're just losing 500 essentially. Or not losing, but the cost was only 500 probably.
Sure. So they, in their scope of work, I mean, they did provide on the order of 25, 27 sealed drawings, and then a set of calculations that was on the order of maybe 80 pages, and that was all sealed by an engineer. I mean, they had a work product that was paid for. It's just what was truly included in there.
Ms. Donahue?
So I guess, is it possible for people who don't sit on this Parks Committee to actually see what it is that we're looking at now? Like, is there a mock-up of what we're doing here?
Yeah, it was all in the design that was in the packet when we
So it
voted on
hasn't
it.
changed from that design?
Correct.
Correct.
The only thing that's changed, keep me honest, is when it went back to the manufacturer, this is after the council looked at it, voted on it, approved the funding and everything. They came back to us and gave this new direction. Fair?
No, this was midsummer, before we even bid the project. This was all a design change that happened midstream to get that finished product that you all were wanting.
Right.
I knew that there was going to be an impact to how much. So the original agreement was $32,000, $24,000 for design, $8,000 for construction. Math is escaping me right now, but I knew we were going to go over, but I didn't know how much. So that's why we had to kind of get through to design and bidding and that, so I could get a good look for, okay, where are we at now and what is it going to take to approve the shop drawings that'll come in. That means the submittals from the contractor that they want to verify what they're doing. And then also for us to provide some part-time construction observation where we're checking rebar, coordinating things in the field with the contractor. So this isn't money that's due. This is all in the anticipation of, hey, we might run out of money in our mind to be able to provide the amount of field services that are prudent to make sure the city's getting what they're paying for from the contractor.
So, Shane, do you anticipate any other work orders for design coming before this council for this?
For this, no, this would, like I said, I'm anticipating that this will see us through construction. And if we don't spend the hours on the job, like, we're not going to send you a bill for time that we don't spend on the job. We bill on an hourly basis. Not all consultants do that. Some bill on a lump sum, where our mind is the fairest way is, for every hour we're on the job, that's what you get charged. We're not going to pad our numbers just through a lump sum process.
Rhonda, I'll find those designs and send them to you. I'll send them to everybody.
Do you want me to email that, Tracy?
You can if you'd like.
I mean, if that helps you, I can.
Can you just send it to the whole council?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So what would the council like to do with this? Place it on the regular agenda? Okay, so review the information that Shane's gonna send you. If you have any other questions about it, feel free to respond back to Shane, and then we can bring them before the council and the public next week if you have questions that need to be addressed. Okay? All right, thanks, Shane.
Thank you.
Okay, next item up is request from Kent and Julie Cross to annex parcel with PIN 11-001-001-00 into the city limits. Mr. Hoblet.
Council, this was what I mentioned, I believe, in announcements some time ago. There's a parcel that Mr. Cross and his wife are asked to be annexed into the city to further the Keystone project for the community benefits. I believe Mr. Bateman's been a part of this as well. The hearing for this will be coming up this coming Monday. Notices in the paper. So Mr. and Mrs. Cross will be signing off on the petition this week, and we should have it for you to ready to be voted on after said public meeting on Monday.
Questions for Mr. Hoblet? Okay. So we need to place this. Do we need to place this on the agenda because it's a public hearing? Are we going to vote on it that same night?
Yes, but on the same night, we'll have the public hearing first.
Okay.
And then, looks like Ms. Bateman is on number 15 on the agenda. The
Yep.
annexation would be at 6. Property tax levy 605.
Yep.
And then the regular meeting thereafter, that's where the vote would take place.
Okay, so we'll place it on the regular agenda. Okay, next item up is item number 6, no knock list, amending city code 3-10-4. Chief Meister.
Thank you, Mayor. The city of Lincoln already has a program in place to dissuade solicitors from visiting residences where they're not welcome, and that program is we sell a sticker. It's a pretty conspicuous sticker. It's neon yellow, has the police department patch on it and a warning that solicitors aren't welcome at that residence. We sell those for $1 to each resident that wants to put one on their door. And typically, I would say that helps in keeping solicitors from visiting those homes, knocking on the door, disturbing the resident. However, it could be claimed that the solicitor didn't see that warning label, that the no trespass warning, if you will, and that would have to be argued in court if they were issued a citation. And frankly, it'd be too late to say for somebody who works midnights. They're already disturbed and woken up by the solicitor who's knocked on their door. While I was attending a radio segment, I was listening to the chief of Mahomet, Illinois Police Department, talk about how they have a no-knock list. And frankly, stole the idea. Thought it was a great one. They maintain a list at City Hall of residents who've elected to prohibit solicitors from coming to their property in an attempt to sell whatever they may be trying to sell. And they provide that list when the solicitor is licensed by the city, so that they know up front, these are the places that I'm not allowed to go. And obviously, if they visit those homes, any of those homes on the list, they're subject to a citation and a potential fine for violating it. I thought it was another good avenue to help our residents with keeping unlawful solicitation away from their homes. So I brought it to you guys to discuss.
Mr. Bateman.
So this no-knock list, when they come to City Hall to get their solicitor's license, and the clerks give the solicitor the list, can the solicitor then use the I didn't read the list, I didn't see the sign, they would just automatically be fined because it's
That's my
at that?
That's absolutely my intention, because once they're served with that list, they have to receive the list to obtain their license. They pay the fee, they do the background check, whatever the clerk's office requires of them. But part of that is accepting that list, and that'd be pretty hard to defeat by a defense of, I didn't read the list. Well, that's your problem. You know, should have.
Go ahead, Mr. Bateman.
So if we vote and approve this, how hard is it to change the application to put that line in there that they've signed and received their no-knock list?
Well, they wouldn't receive the list until after they're approved, so their application is before that. But we can, I mean, they'd have to sign that they did receive it. We would, no issue. But I think the biggest question, we didn't know how we were gonna go about having people sign up for it.
Right.
I guess that was,
Well, I kind of threw an idea out there about that, kind of like our voluntary camera registration program. For anybody who has security cameras, if you guys all recall that, they can register that they have them with the police department. We maintain a file of who the owner is, what their address is, and a phone number for them to call. It's a simple paper form that we came up with. We could do the same thing for a resident who didn't want solicitors at their house. And then I kind of thought of maybe an Excel spreadsheet.
gotta be something we can print out, cause, you know,
Yep.
it updates immediately and then,
Yeah, the registration forms could be provided at City Hall, at the police department, just like we do for the camera stuff. And then City Hall, and I know that's an ask of your office, Clerk Bateman, but you guys would be the ones distributing that to the solicitors, so it made the most sense to ask your office to keep that record.
so your camera thing, that's not online type? That-
No, we
that
just,
wasn't an
we
online-
maintain that at the police department and kind of build an interactive map with Google Earth to show kind of where the cameras are.
Mr. Hoblet?
I can look to Muhammad and see what kind of language they have in their city code about this, and with the idea that if you guys want to pass this coming up on the next upcoming voting meeting to implement that language, I should be able to shorten my time for doing this. We could also create an acknowledgement of receipt form for those that do get the solicitation list. That way we would keep that. Obviously give them a copy, but we would keep it.
And, I mean, there's 3 notaries in our office, so I don't have no problem if, once they sign it, somebody notarizes it right then.
Yeah.
I don't know if
Assume,
that would hold up anywhere.
assuming that when they sign their application, they're signing to, I understand the rules, and if we amend the city code to include the no-knock list, they would be acknowledging that they understand that that's part of the rules that they have to adhere to.
Yeah, I would think that'd be attached to the application, so they're gonna know before they even turn in their application that they're gonna have this no-knock list presented to
Okay.
them.
And also, I don't expect an answer next week. I
Okay.
was really just bringing it up as a discussion
Okay.
item for the council.
All right, we got several people. Mr. Anderson, then Ms. O'Donohue, Mr. Bateman, Mr. Downs, and Mr. Hoblet. Stan?
Chief, I think this is a good idea. One question I have, what's the frequency that the residents would have to update or put their name on? Say someone moves out of a house, does that address permanently stay on there? How often does someone have to update that?
Well, I would say that anytime that someone moves out, it would be nice to know so that we can remove that from the list, but I can't guarantee that would happen. If we maintained that list, say you lived at 123 Anywhere Street, you moved out and sold the house to me, and that address was on the list, and a solicitor visited now that I'm the legal owner, that would be a defense. So if a solicitor was cited for visiting the home, and I no longer, as the owner, wanted to participate in that program, I, being the victim, could request either that it's not prosecuted or the charges, had they been filed, be dropped.
So Peggy, could your office, through the sewer billing process, if they come in and change or drop their sewer, that could trigger this?
Well, I mean, when people sell their homes, that goes through the title company, so girls know exactly who sells their homes, but renters will be the problem if a renter, because we don't always know, if the landlord's paying the sewer, the only way we know is if the tenant is getting a tenant copy. That'd be the only way we know. Would the list have their name and the address on it then? So the person would,
Yeah, I would suggest that the list that the city maintains has the name and address, you know, all identifying information that we need, phone number probably of the owner of the home. But that the list that we provide solicitors only has the address, because that's all they need to know.
yeah, it's just the address, yeah.
Ms. O'Donohue?
Is it possible that we can put a link on the city website so people can just go to the city website and sign up, and then it kind of helps eliminate paper trails, and if they need to, it's pretty electronic. Everybody has a cell phone. Everybody has.
I actually asked the question when the chief brought this up about publishing the list. I don't know that we necessarily need to put names out there, but we could put addresses so that a solicitor, if they have questions, they can pull the list up right online. Yeah. Mr. Bateman,
So the process to get a solicitor's permit, they come in and fill out the paperwork. So right now, do you just contact them and tell them they're approved?
They have to go to Springfield and get background check, fingerprinting, and then Julie gets the results and she sends them to the police department. And they actually approve their background check and stuff.
So I guess what I'm saying is, are we gonna put in this ordinance some kind of thing where the solicitor has to either come back to City Hall and sign that they picked up the list, or?
They have to come back anyway, because at that point, they don't even have the permit. So when
Oh,
we
okay.
hand them the actual signed permit, then they can get the list.
Okay.
So they have to come back.
So they do have, yeah, I thought maybe they just filled it out once and then you guys called them and said, you guys are
No.
approved, ready, so they have to, okay, that's what I was getting at, is they have to come back, pick
Anyway,
up something and confirm that they've got
Right.
the list.
yeah, they have to have the permit because they have to be able to produce it if they're questioned.
And we're only gonna give them one copy. If they've got 12 solicitors, that's on them to make 12 copies of the list?
well, I don't think they've ever had 12, but I have no problem making a copy of all of them lists just so they don't have an excuse.
Okay.
Because each person, each solicitor has their own application. So each solicitor would have to sign that they got that list. So they're all gonna get the list. So
Okay,
no
well,
matter how many there are, I'm gonna make a
I got a
copy.
feeling this is gonna be a very popular thing that people will sign up for.
Well, luckily in the wintertime, we don't have solicitors. Well, there's one out there, but I don't know if he's still doing it.
Mr. Downs?
Well, I had two things. Stan's asked one of my questions, so thank you, Stan. But my other question, you mentioned that the solicitor, if they violated the list, that they would have to be subject to a fine. How much was the fine? Do you recall? Anybody?
The attorney may be able to help me out with it. I think it
Like
varies
$25.
between how many offenses.
We have a general fine outlined in 310.6. The fine is, the minimum fine is $75, not to exceed $750. And it is each and every day violation for those. That's probably, if they were to knock on a door that's on the no-knock list, it'd probably be the one-time fine. The each and every day violation is meant for solicitors who are operating without a license or the permit within the city of Lincoln.
Understand.
What-
Thank you.
What does that code say regarding revoking the permit? Because I mean, that's another tool as well. If you get, because what you're talking about fining them, that's a lengthy process. They've already moved on and probably done that. If they're egregious, we can just revoke it, I believe, if it's like other permits, right?
It is silent on that. Let's see here. It is silent on that, Mayor. We would have to add that in.
Okay, we should do that.
Understood.
Okay, Mr. Hoblet, I think you had your hand up as well.
I did.
Did you, Steve, as well? Okay, I'll get to you next.
Stan here, he alluded to a bit about what my question is, and that the list would be periodically updated. They would be handed a list at one point in time. It stands to reason that more names would be added over, and I think we alluded to maybe a potential solution, that being on the website, and we can just add instructions, on the acknowledgement and receipt that the list will be updated. And it's their responsibility to check the website for any updates.
Yeah, because solicitors, I mean, some of them maybe 3 months, 6 months. We hand them a list from day one. That's going to change. I mean, it
Yeah.
could change the next day.
Mr. Parrott,
Or we could just pass where we have no solicitors in the city of Lincoln. Solve it all.
Why couldn't we, and I don't know how many applications you get in every year, and I don't know how long this list could get, but why hand them a paper copy at all if we could just give them a link to an updated annual or daily, updated daily, then they have that on their phone. They can, and we instruct them, go to this daily, because it could change daily. To your point, it could
Yeah,
change,
yeah.
you know, within a day.
Yeah, time they walk away, it could change.
the only thing that I would think, and the attorney will have to weigh in on this, is by giving a paper copy at the time of the application, they've now acknowledged the fact that there is in fact a list. If we don't at least take that action, they could come back and say, oh, I didn't know, I didn't see that. I mean,
Couldn't we do something where, you know, we design something, and I know it's going to cost maybe a little bit of money, that they get a specific code to sign in to access the,
I think we just, my opinion, when Peggy's staff is already very good at when these solicitor permits are issued, Julie goes in, or Peggy does, and they put them on the website then, once they're approved and issued. I think this list, to Rhonda's point, if we can digitize it, and in the back end, it can always be linked to the live document, they can pull it up at any time. I think this list and the solicitor list needs to live on the same page, though, because they complement each other, in my opinion. So I guess the chief and Peggy can work out who maintains the list, but either way, we'll have to figure out where that document lives on the website, and we can put it on the back end of the website. The new website's good about that. Mr. Bateman.
So just to get this to where we can vote next week, obviously, in my opinion, the list would have to be sorted by street name. Because, you know, you don't want to do it by numbers, but if a guy drops his solicitors off and he drops them off on Tremont, they can immediately go to Tremont and see which houses. So that would be one thing. If it's on a spreadsheet, it's going to have to be sorted by street name, not number.
Well, even if you put it on the website, is there a way you'd be able to add it at the bottom, but it sorts? I mean, I don't know anything about that that's the back end. I don't know about.
Yeah, I think if we put it in an Excel sheet, to the chief's point, that they can sort that however they want.
And then upload this Excel sheet?
The sheet will always live in the website, but when you click the link, they'll get the current live copy, the most recent copy.
Okay.
Now, and we could actually take it a step further, and we could, as these addresses come in, we could enter them into Google Maps and make a live map, so as they're walking down the street, they can look at the houses on the map too. I mean, we can take this as far as we want. But technology is our friend. Mr. Hublett.
Just keep in mind when making this list, this might be a situation we probably should be cognizant of. If one column is going to be names and the other column is going to be addresses, keep in mind that and if we're going to keep one that's names and addresses and one that's addresses, keep in mind for Freedom of Information Act request, what would be struck would be the addresses, leaving just the names. It would be real easy just to take the column of names and compare it with the column of addresses. If you're looking to avoid information like that, just food for thought.
Okay. We can work through that. Okay.
I mean, it's up if you want. I mean, Joe said he was just bringing it up for conversation, so I guess it's up to you guys if you want to let us pound some of this out, bring it up next cow, or you actually want to vote on it for next week.
We can research how, like I said, Muhammad is using the program. We can research how that's working for them. This was just something I overheard on a radio interview and thought was a good idea to explore.
I think there's
Good
enough
time.
moving parts. To Peggy's point, there's enough moving parts here. We do need to get some answers.
Right, and I just did a cursory glance to try to find that. It was in their city code in Muhammad. I couldn't find it, but granted, I didn't have a whole lot of time here in the last few minutes. So might require a little bit more digging.
The city clerk had a good point. We just make the entire city limits a no-knock.
Julie would like that.
Unfortunately, solicitation is free speech and is protected by the First Amendment, so we can't outright ban it. So
Okay. So then, Ms. O'Donohue.
Is it something, so you said there's only like one person out soliciting right now?
Right now, I
So
think
is it
it's through
something we can
February.
just maybe like give it a couple weeks? I mean, we don't have a lot of people out soliciting right now.
Right.
And like actually pound it out
Absolutely.
and,
Yeah, I hope, yeah, I think that's what needs to be pounded out a little bit first.
yeah. I think that's a good idea.
Okay.
And you said that was Muhammad?
Yeah,
All right. So, Chief, then I'll leave this in your hands to bring back to Ms. Bateman for a future agenda when you're ready.
yeah, sounds good.
And as always, if you have feedback, please send it to the chief.
I'll work with the chief for language for that city code.
Okay. Okay, moving on, the next up is item number 7, ordinance creating 3-27 of the Lincoln City Code, tabled 11/25/2025. Mr. Hoblet.
So, this was, again, this is the massage parlor ordinance, or massage establishment. The last time we were here, there was some talk about to look to see what Bloomington did for those who are operating like a small business of their own accord, where they submit an affidavit. I took that language and I inserted it. Mr. Bateman, I believe, mentioned too that he had some concerns about in the exemptions for those who don't need to get a license. So I deleted both of those and added the language in about that sole proprietorship for those who are licensed with the state of Illinois. Upon further review of the rest of the Bloomington, because people mentioned that Bloomington was a good template, what they did over there, the terms are virtually identical to what I have. I guess more than one municipality used a template that's similar for these massage establishments. So I just submitted the change. That there's a few redundancies I removed as well. That should have little cross out marks on there. And it's before you now for review and to see if you want to discuss it. It's tabled for right now for the voting meeting. So I presume if you guys have no further, if there's nothing of note, then it can go. If you guys have some further questions that you think I need a workshop through, you can let me know, and it could remain tabled. So it just depends on what you would like to do.
Mr. Anderson.
Yeah, I've got two questions just in talking to a couple of the massage therapists about this. The hours of operation that's listed on here is from 8 a.m. to 9 p.m. Some of those massage therapists that do start at 6 a.m. in the morning to take care of their clients before they head off to their regular job. So I'd like to maybe take a look at what the hours of operation are. And then the other one is I guess the concern about the fact that we're charging $25 for a license when these people are already licensed through the state and they already pay a renewal licensing fee already through the state. And we're asking them to pay for another fee on top of that. And to where we don't look at other professions that have license, and we're not asking for them to pay for a fee for that too, to operate within the city. And I guess as long as anytime they were spot checked or, questioned, as long as they can provide that they do have a valid state license, that should be suffice.
So I can always change the hours of operation. That's an easy change. What you had a concern about, I think the exemption for the affidavit for the sole proprietorship with state license, I think that would solve many of those issues those people would have, because I don't think they would have to pay that fee at that point. But I will note that for other businesses, that's why I tried to phrase it as a nominal fee of the $25, along with the idea that there are certain other businesses. I mean, the most glaring example probably that comes before me is the alcohol-based businesses that pay us a good chunk of money, and the state of Illinois, and probably the federal government, I would presume, for their respective licenses. That's just the only one that becomes the most comparable to that. But I believe that what I proffer there for that amendment, probably I presume the many people you talk to would suffice for that purpose. Kind of exempt them. So. Yeah, if I look up here, yes. I don't mean to sound, cruel and rough, but $25 is not a very large fee. But if you look to what I added in section E, where I removed the previous language there, it does provide an exemption for them there. So they would submit the affidavit. I'm looking through here. Yeah. So I'm just reading it just to make sure. I didn't see want to make sure it didn't say that, that you have to pay that fee, and it doesn't. So.
Okay. Ms. McClellan, and then Mr. Bateman.
First of all, I think one of the reasons to get a permit is so that we know they're there. They're operating business, right? And they're operating their business. So it's kind of like an identifier too. So if they do need to be inspected, they will need to be inspected. We know who they are and where they are. So I think that's probably part of the purpose. It's not just to make money, but just so that they're kind of registered with the city, which a lot of businesses are. But the second thing is the sole proprietor. I just wanted to mention that I was speaking to a business person who rented out a room to a massage therapist and seemed to have all their ducks in a row, and there was some nefarious stuff that started going on in there. So just wanted to say that it is a problem, and it has been happening, and the sole proprietor thing, I'm not sure why they were even excluded, because they're performing the same services, and I will agree to vote on this and to vote yes on this, but I think 6 months down the road, we might have to look at it again and say, well, that's not tough enough, or that's not working. We need to include the sole proprietors too. So there is that experience in Lincoln that it is happening. So,
Mr. Bateman.
The fee, I could care less whether we waive it or not. It is nominal. $25 isn't much at all in the grand scheme of things, but it would open up a can of worms for us as a city, because we do license a lot of other professions like photography, and
We've been waiving photography.
we've been waiving photography. So I was just saying, if that's the case, we may be opening a can of worms to look at a lot of our other. I want to put teeth in our ordinances, but I know it would upset Chuck that we may lose revenue of $75. It's less than that. Okay, but it may just we may have to look at some other ordinances and just do a simple change of the fee structure, if that's the case.
The fee is more about covering the cost of Ms. Bateman's time, her office. Yep. Mr. Parrott.
Yeah, I was just going to comment and kind of start to maybe think through this a little bit deeper as far as this fee, because sometimes I think it's like a penalty. It's a medical ideally it's for health. But then there's this other side of it. It's not so much for health, right? It's for bad reasons. And but I just kind of also think of our Second Amendment, where a lot of people are being punished, for bad people doing bad things, and I don't like that either. And so I think I would err on no fees, because I don't want to punish the people who are doing things right.
Tell that to the state of Illinois, so I don't have to pay for a sticker every year for my car. That'd be great.
Well, I mean,
I'm sitting in a seat. I'm sitting in a seat where I can do something, John. So
yeah, I look, it wasn't a problem till it became a problem, right? And we have to figure out how to provide the tools necessary for law enforcement and our attorney to tackle the problem quickly instead of letting it go on for months and months. And unfortunately, change is not always painless, I guess. And I think Robin's right. We'll probably be back tweaking this thing a few times. And me personally, the fee isn't the hill worth dying on. There's other things that's in that ordinance that I think are probably more sticking points that they're concerned about: proximity, location, etc. But I understand why the fee's in there. I mean, we collect fees for alcohol, for cannabis, for solicitors. There's dozens. So, Chuck, did you have
Well,
something?
yeah, when you're talking about fees, the purpose of these is to help cover some of the costs that the city incurs to do these things. It's not like you're charging a tax on every transaction that business does. This is a once-a-year fee. And you're talking about, well, it's only $25. Well, it's $25 here for this and $25 for that or $15 for something else. Pretty soon, if you start giving that away or waiving that or removing that, you're talking about significant reduction to the revenue that these not just this particular type of permit, but permits and licenses will bring in to cover the administrative costs of these. So I don't think it's a good idea to do that. I don't think a $25 fee is unreasonable for a full year's permit.
Mr. Hoblet?
So did you guys want to proceed with this language that I proffered for this sole proprietor with the affidavit?
Council?
Okay.
Proceed as he's
I just want to make
proposed it.
sure if I needed to eliminate it before Monday or keep it in there. That's all.
So, this is ready to go for the agenda next week, correct? Ms. Bateman?
I'm still stuck on this application for massage establishment. So, number 5, authorization for chief of police or designee to conduct a background check and take fingerprints on the applicant.
Chief?
They don't do that.
No, we don't do background checks for anything except for, well, we don't do background checks for anything except for us, or a criminal investigation. We do background investigations on potential employees. If another city department would ask me to do a background investigation, since we have personnel trained in that, I would obviously be willing to do so. But no, we don't do that. We do take fingerprints from time to time, and typically only for public employees and mostly teachers, pretty much only teachers. And we provide that service for free. It's an ink fingerprint card. They walk out with it. It's 5 minutes of our time.
Mr. Hoblet and then Mr. Bateman.
So, remind me, did we not, I think the purpose of that was to see if anyone had any like background criminal, like felonies of that nature. Did we not institute like some sort of background check process for the solicitors
Springfield.
that are
They-
coming in?
They go to Springfield, they pay a service fee to a company who does that for a
Okay.
living. I have statutes that I have to abide by when I access criminal justice information systems such as LEADS or NCIC. These are databases where things like criminal histories are contained. I can only do them for certain reasons. Typically, the 2 reasons that I am authorized to use that for is a criminal investigation, see what somebody's criminal history reveals to me if it's connected with an investigation that we're conducting, or for the purposes of criminal justice employment. So anybody who's going to be employed by the police department. That's a code that I have to enter when I run those things. It can be illegal for me to access information like that for purposes other than what I've described.
So it sounds like number 5 needs to be modified to not necessarily say authorization, but provide proof of, correct? Because they would have already done this as part of their state licensing.
Yeah, I would presume that whatever they, like so did with solicitors or whatnot, that similar process could be utilized here. That was my logic.
But if they, when they're filling out this application, if they have the copy of their state license, I mean,
Yeah.
pretty well good to go.
I mean, I can remove it. You know, it's
Well, if it's there, I think it needs to be, I mean, that's on them. That's out of their pocket. And they have to go to Springfield.
Right.
I have no idea how much it is. And
Mr. Bateman and then Mr. Anderson.
Quite honestly, I've read this a couple times, and I would like to really dumb it down to, you walk in, you've got a state license from the state that you're a licensed massage therapist. You know, in our language, we should have some kind of simple language on if someone books a massage with you and ends up getting a lot more than a massage or a little more than a massage, then the teeth need to be in there that we can walk in and shut you down. Whether you're doing it at that person's home, your home, at your establishment, whatever, because that's what was wrong with not having an ordinance before, is we had to jump through some hoops to close it down. So again, I think it needs to be simple. You want to be a licensed therapist, you supply the clerk's office with your state license. We give you a list of the rules that you should not be doing. And if somebody turns you in and we send someone in there or find proof that you have been doing it that way, then you're arrested, fined, or whatever we're going to do. At that point, you move straight to the prostitution ordinance, because that's basically what the one that we closed down was doing.
Chief Meister.
That's what I was going to mention. Those are two different ordinances, and not to let them bleed into one another. That does exist. It's under sexually oriented businesses. That was the ordinance I used to investigate, and the city attorney used to prosecute the illegal business that occurred earlier this year. This ordinance pertains to more than just illegal businesses, however. So I think that's where people became passionate about what was written in that ordinance. I think the simplest way to look at things is if a business is operating within the city limits of Lincoln and provides massage therapy, they have to be licensed to do so. And it's just my opinion, if they're licensed by the state to do so, then they're operating legally. If we have another instance like we did in January of 2025, I can just about guarantee you that not a single employee in that business had a state license to provide massage therapy. If this ordinance reflects that they have to have a state license to operate, or the police can shut them down immediately, I believe that solves the problem that we're looking to solve. I don't have to have a preponderance or more evidence to suggest that illicit activities are going on. All I have to be able to prove is you don't have a license, and you shut the door, or you're going to get a fine every day and every day thereafter that we see the open sign in your window.
Same way it is with liquor.
Yes, sir.
We're saying, say there's 4 therapists working in there. Every one of them has to have a license. The person you're going to Mary's massage parlor, it's not just Mary, it's everybody that works under Mary that's giving massages has to have a license.
I believe that's how the Department of Professional Regulations I think that's a requirement, that anybody who actually provides that service has to be certified or licensed.
But not like a
by the state.
receptionist or anybody like that, yeah.
do we know if the ladies that was here the other week, are all the license expire the same time every year like our stuff, or are they just whenever they apply for it? The same time, like let's say December 31st of whatever year, they all. Okay. That kind.
We just need to to be a massage therapist or run a massage business inside the city limits of Lincoln, every massage person has to have a state license, period. If you're advertising for massages and you don't have a state license because of the ordinance, the simple ordinance that we could possibly pass, then boom, we build in a fine and we give the police chief teeth to walk in there and shut them down.
Do they have to be, can we put in there they have to be presented, you know, like bars, they have to have
Yeah,
their
like a
license
liquor
hanging on
license.
the wall. So, I mean, they would have to have them hanging on the wall. They can't wait and pull them out of the drawer when you walk in.
Well, then it should be something that they also provide to you.
Yes.
So you
Yes.
know that every 2 years they're actually updating their license.
I think we could knock out a bunch of these paragraphs and just make it simple. 'Cause that was the whole point of this, is giving the police department teeth to close down the illicit places or the ones that are renting rooms doing illicit stuff. So I know John put a lot of work into it, but we might get this down to one sheet of paper.
Mr. Anderson, go ahead. Mr. Anderson.
Mine's already been covered here, but just want to reiterate that if you are licensed through the state of Illinois, you've already had the background check, the fingerprinting, and child support. There's maybe one other thing, Rhonda, you could probably help out. I used to have a paramedic license, so I know how all that worked. But yeah, you had all that stuff done already, so we're kind of duplicating all this stuff right here and
like-
running into another expense for them to travel around and get all this done.
Like we're trying to build the rocket ship to go to the store. Mr. Parrott.
Just real quick, so like the lady that came in who has a building, she leases it to individuals to come, a room to individuals, and we find out like one of the individuals is not playing nice per se. We don't go in and shut down that building. We shut down what, that individual.
Correct, and that's, unless there was evidence that the, illegal activities were connected to more than just the individual. But let's just say, for instance, a business opens that appears to be properly licensed, a massage therapy business, properly licensed, registers with the city, and information is gained that they are participating in illegal activities. We would have to revert back to whatever ordinance or law that they are said to be violating and use the same avenues that we typically use to investigate whether or not that's occurring. That can still take place, whether they're licensed or not. This is just a quick route for those that are obviously conducting illegal activities. They're opening unbeknownst to anyone except for who's on the internet looking for their services, that we can quick route it to shut your doors or you're going to pay a lot of money every day.
Okay.
At that point, you can do it right then. You don't have to wait for the courts, the
Exactly.
court system.
Right. Well, for
Well-
all intents and purposes, yes. They would be subject to a fine every day if they continued to operate. Fines don't make people stop doing bad things. I think history shows us that. But they would be held responsible in some fashion. If somebody continued to operate illegally, we knew there were illegal things happening there, they didn't care about the fine, there's still avenues through criminal statutes, through other ordinances that we have, that we can continue the investigation and put a stop to it, kind of like we did back in January. Ended up in court over it.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is we need to kind of relook at this again and try to simplify it. So, I mean,
Will do.
I hate to say it, but this is like chickens 2.0. So, next cow.
Next cow.
Okay. All right. Anything else on this? Okay. Moving on. Item number 8. Tax levy ordinance for the city of Lincoln for 2025 at 2.9%. Mr. Conzo?
Thank you, Mayor. I think we all talked about this a couple of weeks ago, too. There's really not much of a change in the documents that you have there. do have the draft copy of the proposed tax levy in there, the full document. And you'll see it's still at 2.9%, which is the consumer price index. I would add, if you're not aware of this, if you've read in the Courier and in some of the other publications surrounding areas, the Panagraph, the Journal Register, Journal Star, and you've seen some of these tax levy notices or notices of truth and taxation notices will show some of these are levying taxes with as much as 18, 19, 20% increases over the previous year. Certainly not recommending that we do that, but you are seeing that, and a lot of these are larger, much larger taxing districts than we are. I think the 2.9% is certainly reasonable under the circumstances, especially if you look at some of the other documents there in the packet. You'll notice that the city's share of the property tax has gone down since 1999. As well as the city's tax rate. In fact, it's, if you all have that in your packet, you may want to review that in some detail if you haven't already. Also call your attention to the municipal compliance reports, which were circulated 2 weeks ago and appear in the packet again today, that show the need to do a better job of funding our police pension fund and our firemen's pension fund, which are the two areas that we need to concentrate on the most. But of course, property taxes apply to other things too. And if you look at the draft amendment there, you'll see a page that contains the amount of the appropriation, which is the amount that the council has authorized us to spend, the city to spend, as compared to the amount that's raised through the property taxes. And that's contained in the ordinance. And I would encourage you to look at that and to show that to other people too, who may think that that we get all of our money through property taxes. Well, we have other revenue sources as well. So the property tax, even as it is, pays relatively less than some of the other sources of revenue. And with that, I'd take any questions that you might have.
Questions for Mr. Conzo?
Or comments.
Okay. So we'll place this on the regular agenda. Okay.
Keep in mind there'll be a hearing or a public hearing prior to that on 6:05 p.m. on the 15th of December. Yours is 6. Oh, ours is 6 and the other's 6:05, isn't it? Okay. Thank you, Madam City Clerk.
The item number 15 says the annexation's at 6.
Yeah, that's what she just,
So is that it?
Oh,
Chuck will be at 6:05, right?
no, I'm sorry, I got that wrong on there. It's the other way around, because the tax levy had already been in the paper at 6 o'clock. So this on the agenda, it's switched around.
Okay.
So the tax levy's at 6, public hearing, and the annexation public hearing is at 6:05. And that one will be in the paper tomorrow.
Okay. Right. We'll place it on the regular agenda. Okay, next up is item number 9, resolution abating tax for the year 2025 debt service on $2,285,000 GO bonds, alternative revenue source, series 2014. Mr. Conzo?
Yes, there are two of these. This is the first one. This GO bond alternative revenue source 2014 is the TIF district bond that was issued in that year. It's a 20-year bond. I will tell you that this is the first fiscal year that the tax increment has paid the entire amount of the bond principal and interest. Yeah, I know.
Party.
So it's headed in the right direction there. And, that should continue throughout the life of this bond. The reason for this resolution is because, as it says, it's paid from alternative revenue sources, so that we're required to pass this in order that there isn't a tax levy to pay the premium, to pay the principal and the interest on this bond. So, and it's required that it be done annually. If you did not pass this, then this would significantly increase property tax to pay for the $176,000 in that.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll place this on the regular agenda. Okay. The next one's item number 10, resolution abating tax for the year 2025 debt service on 3,270,000 GO bonds, alternative revenue source, series 2018. Mr. Conzo.
Thank you, Mayor. This is the bond, as the title would indicate, the GO Bond Alternative Revenue Source Series 2018. This was the one that was a 15-year bond, and this was issued for the purpose of upgrading building formerly known as Jefferson School into the very nice public safety complex that we have fortunate enough to have. I will say that had it not been for the fact that that building was there, this would be a lot more money to achieve the same thing. So that, even though I know that's $3,270,000 is a lot of money, it would be significantly higher if we hadn't acquired that building. And unfortunately, she's no longer on the city council, but Alderwoman Kathy Horn came up with that idea, and it was probably one of the best things that I have seen come before the council. And I think the money that we spent on this at the time that we did it was very good expenditure. It would cost considerably more, and I think the chief would be better able to address that than I would, but it would cost considerably more to do that now, 7 years on since the time that we did this. And I think this building should be good for probably another 100 years. So all the way around, this is very good, and this is paid for from our general fund. This is not paid for with property tax, assuming you approve this resolution abating the tax for the calendar year 2025.
Questions for Mr. Conzo? Okay. Place it on the regular agenda. Okay. Place item number 10 on the regular agenda. Next up is item number 11, advise and consent to the mayoral appointment of Chris Harding to Deputy Fire Chief. Chief Johnson?
Thank you, Mayor. As y'all recall, 6 or 7 months ago, we created the new position for the Deputy Fire Chief. I would like to have Chief Harding appointed to that position and start him on January 1st. He wanted to be at the meeting tonight, but I heard the siren, so that's why he's not in the room tonight. Yeah, and if you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to try and answer them.
Ms. O'Donohue?
So does that open up another spot for a new fireman?
It does. It increased our manpower by 1. So we've got 2 applicants. I wanted to wait until the end of the year so we weren't short-manned, which we're going to be anyway at this point. But I do have 2 applicants that we're hoping to get started mid-January.
And will they both need to go to the academy?
They will both need to go to the academy. That is correct. They won't be minimum manning until probably April.
Place this on the regular agenda. Okay. Place item number 11 on the regular agenda. Okay, that brings us down to announcements. Do have one thing to bring up under announcements. Mr. McCoy would like to speak to the council regarding the Route 66 grant that you may have received an email on.
Thank you, Mayor. Just wanted to update you all. You got my email and went through that. So it's a good day. It's a good week. We've worked very closely with the Logan County Tourism Bureau in this grant because it does need to go through the CVB. And, that partnership yielded some big bucks. We did receive the full ask that we had, which is $411,710. So that is going to be applied into the new building for the Museum of Route 66. It's going to go, I see Chuck over there smiling with a big, huge grin, the biggest smile I've ever seen. It's really pretty fantastic. So we included a lot on this. We were very aggressive with it, and it's really good news for the tourism program here now that we're starting that in the city. So do you have any questions or anything about that or details?
Could you just share the total amount that the Bureau received? Do you have that?
Yes, the Bureau, so the entire ask of the entire grant was $465,695. So $411,700 is the city's portion, and just shy of $54,000 is the Bureau. So that's going to be applied to the mill itself for them, and some signage in Elkhart as well. So that grant does, work for the community, for the county, as well as the city.
And the expenditures of these grant dollars have to be done roughly by March, April.
Well, correct. So
We should see a lot of things moving.
it's going to move fast. Yeah, this is specifically for Route 66 for the Centennial, which we know starts in less than a month. So we're all going to be spending this money very, very quickly to get ramped up for the next season, which is technically May 1st is the beginning of that Route 66 season. So we expect most, if not all of this, to be accomplished by that time. Yeah.
Ms. O'Donohue.
That was kind of my question, is how quickly does this money then cross over to us?
How quickly it crosses over. It's a quarterly report for the CVB. So we're going to expend the money here, which we've already done. So with the half of the building is, you've paid for half of that building already in the 2 payments. So that will be sent to the CVB almost immediately, probably by the end of this week. But then it'll be put into the next quarterly report. I would really have to look that up to see when that date is for the first quarterly report, because technically this goes back to July 1st, I believe it was. So it is a little retroactive. And then as soon as the CVB receives the money, then we would be reimbursed. Does that answer that question? Okay.
Scott, can you share with the council and others exactly what they will see from the city of Lincoln? Like, what are the things that we asked for the money for?
Okay. The list for the city itself is the general renovation of the museum, the purchase of the museum. So everything, we're starting the construction on the inside now and all of that development. So all of that will be taken care of. We have 2 more watermelon benches, which was Mr. Parrott's idea originally with the last year's grant. So those are really cool. They turned out really, really neat. So we're going to add 2 more of those. We have 2 murals. So one mural will be across the street directly on the foxhole on the 2nd story, and it'll point to the museum saying big arrow or hand, here's the museum on Route 66. And one's going to be at the little historic gas station, which is on 5th Street there as you head down toward the mill. On the side, there's kind of a mural there now, just kind of a little bit with a shield, and that'll be a full mural. It'll be fully lit, so it'll be a nighttime photo op as well. And I've been working with Walt here a little bit on the signage for Route 66. It's very confusing, and this is not just Lincoln, but there are so many different alignments of Route 66 that people get confused. And I've actually received complaints about Lincoln's so many different alignments and so many different signs. So those will come down, or majority of those will come down, and this will include all new signage to be put in, so we can direct people on one path, takes them into downtown on the original Route 66, right to the museum, and then back out, past the mill and so forth. So it'll be a lot easier and cleaner there. And then probably the neatest thing to me is the giant penny. It's a 12-foot penny, so it'll actually be a little bit bigger than the donut out here. Same artist that's going to do that. And it'll be a Lincoln penny, which is pretty interesting too, with the centennial of Route 66, Lincoln, Illinois, obviously Lincoln, and the penny was just discontinued. So it all kind of, and it's going to have a 2026 date on it because of the centennial. So it kind of worked out neat, but and a little sad too, maybe, but it'll be another big photo op for people at the museum. I just got you. I saw you hitting that, going for that button there. So I'm like, she wants to know where it is. Yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Anything else for Mr. McCoy? Well, I would say thank you for your hard work. Thank you for working with the Bureau. Just a really good indication of our partnership with them, and a lot of good things to come.
Great. Appreciate it. You're very welcome. And I also want to say thank you to Mrs. McClellan and Mr. Parrott and yourself for all the hard work, and the others, of course, that helped out with the Santa visit. That was a lot of fun. And, yeah, a lot of great kids. I really enjoyed it. I think we had a little less than 20,000 children, I think, as it was. I'm including the parents in some of that. But it was a great time, and everybody had the hot chocolate, and Steve had the cookies going, and it was great. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, to that point, the only other announcement I had was, don't forget about the parade this Thursday. It's at 6:30. Weather looks like it's still going to be a little chilly, but it'll hold out, and it should be good. Miss Bateman, did you have anything to add about the parade?
I have Dennis participating, and he's going to ride, and Steve is still going to. You originally was. Please. Because Kevin doesn't think I have enough candy.
He doesn't have enough hands.
I'll be there. Okay. All right. So we'll see everybody. Yeah. All right. We'll see everybody Thursday night then. Okay. Does anybody have an announcement? Mr. Conzo?
Thank you, Mayor. Just one thing. Tomorrow night, the public is invited to a holiday open house at the Humane Society of Logan County Animal Shelter. I think you all know where it is. It's on North 66th, the bypass, or Lincoln Parkway. It's from 5 to 7 p.m., so I think there'll be some refreshments there and some other things happening.
And the Humane Society is always taking donations, correct?
Yes, yes. Yeah.
So.
And there'll be a cookie sale coming up fairly soon, too, Christmas, just between over the next couple of weeks sometime. There'll be a cookie sale.
Excellent. Okay. Miss O'Donohue?
Is it a pre-order for sale, or is it like you just show up?
It's better to pre-order, and then whatever's left, they'll sell. But it's definitely a better idea to pre-order.
Do we contact you?
You can contact Judy or any of the other Humane Society officers.
Okay.
Nancy Schaub, if you know Nancy, she's kind of the lead person on that, coordinator for that.
All right. Any other announcements? Okay. If there are no other announcements, I'd like to request a motion to go into executive session under 2C11 litigation.
I'll make a motion to go under executive session 2C11 under litigation.
Alderman Downs made the motion. Alderman Clemmons second. Roll call, please.
Mr. Clemens? Mrs. O'Donohue?
Yes.
Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Bateman?
Yes.
Mrs. McClellan?
Yes.
Mr. Parrott?
Yes.
Mr. Downs?
Yes.
Okay. Going into executive session at 7:17 p.m. There will be no city business to follow.